Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today it's time for one of my favourite videos of the month. It's the Indie Author Showcase. I've got a bunch of authors just waiting to talk to you about their books, so let's roll the tape.
Hello, my name is Scrimgeour and I'm a self-published science fiction and fantasy author. I was lucky enough to be part of Dom's Indie Author Showcase earlier this year where I talked about Those Left Behind, which is the first book in my sci-fi series. And I'm really happy to be back again today to tell you a little bit about my new upcoming fantasy book, Sea of Souls. Sea of Souls is a dark fantasy set in a Scottish-inspired world with lots of ancient magic, folklore and mythology and high seas adventure. It follows the story of Isla Blackwood, who's a young noble who left her family behind 7 years ago in search of belonging on the open water. But when tragedy calls Isla back home, she realises that her duty isn't really something she can run from as easily as she thought. Selkie raiders have been terrorising the island's coasts, and the only way to stop them might be to team up with one of their own in order to hunt down a stolen Selkie pelt that just happens to be guarded by the island's most ruthless Selkie hunter, the Grand Admiral himself. Being from Scotland myself, I really wanted to write something that was based on Scottish folklore and mythology. So if you're not familiar with what Selkie is, it's a legendary creature that takes the form of a seal in the water, but it's also capable of shedding its skin and becoming a human on land. In the traditional myth, what normally happens is that someone steals a Selkie's pelt and then it's unable to return to the water. So if you read Sea of Souls, you'll be able to see the different kind of ways that I work that traditional myth into the story here. There's also a lot of focus on things like family secrets, torn loyalties, unlikely friendships, and a dash of slow burn romance as well. So if you like rugged landscapes, stormy seas, gunpowder and cutlasses, and really bad weather, Sea of Souls might be the book for you. Sea of Souls comes out on Friday the 4th of August and is currently available for pre-order on Kindle for a special discounted price. It will also be available in paperback and on Kindle Unlimited as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about me and about Sea of Souls. If you'd like to find out more, you can sign up for my author newsletter on my website ncscrimgeour.com or follow me on any one of various social media platforms at Scrimscribes.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Roberti. I write sword and sorcery, political intrigue, fantasy, and I'm here today to talk to you about my book, The Traitors We Are, which is currently in SPIFBO and BBYNA. Traitors takes place in a world where writing disappears when the author dies and kind of focuses on how does that impact history, truth, lies, and our relationships with each other. From things like, how do you know that the history you've been passed down is true because people could have been editing it along the way, to things like locals will have scraps of paper in their pocket with their loved ones' names on it, looking to see if the names are still there when they check it the next time, hopefully not having someone to mourn after that. I recently released the prequel novella, The Revenge of Thousands, which centers on the beginning of a war that Traitors covers. The war is the result of the lies of one man, and his quest to find his place in history is an easy way to say it. Traitors takes place in the lives of two of his children, Cale and Marilee Oberlin, who are 22 and 18, and also focuses on someone from the opposite end of the war, Emil Trustenson, a 24-year-old noble who feels like he is a failure. Traitors tries to look at the humanity of its characters and their experiences with the brutal realities of war and how it has impacted the lives of those around them, as well as the expectations for their own lives. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike S. Roberti. You can go to my website, www.michaelroberti.com, and just feel free to hit me up. And thank you, Dom, for giving me this opportunity. And if you all have any questions, you know where to find me.
Hi, my name is Bethany. I write under B.S.H. Garcia, and my debut novel of Thieves and Shadows just came out in June. It is the first in my epic fantasy series, The Heart of Quinaria. The first book centers on a resource conflict turned crisis as three nations that have previously been at peace for hundreds of years start to find themselves at odds with each other due to this vanishing life-giving resource. It centers on Alasia, who is the main of our mains. She is a recently inducted High Chieftain in one of the nations, but it is an epic fantasy cast, so we have 6 POV characters, all from varying backgrounds, who come together for a similar purpose, but with their own motivations. There are a lot of morally gray characters, lots of dark moments thrown in, and though it's epic fantasy, the series will slowly, throughout the course of the books, take a nosedive more into dark and grimdark territory. This is not your standard medieval read, so if you are looking for dragons and kings and knights and princesses, you probably will want to look elsewhere. But if you're looking for world building that's inspired by other peoples and beliefs, with some new fantasy races and mythological beings thrown in, definitely give it a go. If you are unsure about checking out Quinaria, I do have a prequel novelette. This is available ebook for free by signing up for my newsletter on my website, and it is a standalone, so it can be read prior to or after of Thieves and Shadows. Thank you so much for your interest, and happy reading.
Hi, I'm Lily, and this is my entry into this year's SPFBO, If Light Above. It's what I like to call dark fantasy mystery with a hint of romance. It tells the story of 4 people going about their normal lives in the kingdom of Turin when tragedy strikes. First, there's Osmond Ben Wickery, former captain general in the king's army. He's tasked with finding a missing baby, protecting his king, and figuring out who's behind a conspiracy. But most of all, Osmond must prove, especially to himself, that he truly is the hero everyone makes him out to be. Next, we have wayward young nobleman Tamrian Kinto, who is no hero. He struggles just to get up in time for training in the morning. But his silver tongue regularly gets him out of trouble, and also into it. He finds himself caught up in the affairs of 2 mysterious women. One, a powerful crystal mage newly returned from an absence of 30 years, and the other, a gray-eyed killer. That gray-eyed killer is Fry. She's tidying up some loose ends in a darkened alley when she runs into Tamrian. Something about him reminds her of someone she knew, and not only does she let him live, but she starts following him. Not very wise in her profession, especially when she recognizes the noble manor Tamrian calls home. Finally, we have Shinowin Alva, former dressmaker to the late queen. She mostly keeps to herself. Her only real friends in the castle are the 4-footed kind that scurry about in the shadows. But Shinowin has a terrible secret, one that she'll have to share with someone she can trust. As fate would have it, the hero of Turin, Osmond Ben Wickery, has started asking questions in the castle. If you like political intrigue, multiple points of view, and stories that take you into the dark depths of fantasy, you might like If Light Above.
Hi, I'm Jon Auerbach, and I'm here to tell you about my epic urban fantasy books, Guild of Tokens and Guild of Magic, books 1 and 2 of the New York City Questing Guild series. The series is a bit of a different take on urban fantasy. You won't find wizards blasting each other in alleyways with spells, or wisecracking, hard-drinking private investigators who may be half vampire. Instead, you'll find things like a sword that fits in any bag, gum that when chewed makes a drunk person instantly sober, or an ink that compels the reader to follow the written instructions. But there's a rational explanation for all this. Magic is a natural resource, like oil and minerals and water, and the people who discovered it monopolized it and kept it a secret, and used it to become very wealthy and very powerful. But there's a problem. Like any natural resource, magic is becoming depleted. And so the powers that be came up with the quest board, a message board buried in the bowels of the internet, where people post real-life quests to be completed in exchange for tokens. Get enough tokens and you level up. The purpose? To dig up and grind out the last traces of magic left on Earth for the upper crust. This is the state of affairs that our main character, Jen Jacobs, a disillusioned New York City video game developer, finds herself in at the beginning of the series. Together with her morally gray mentor, Beatrice Taylor, Jen dives headfirst into a world filled of magic, myth, and mayhem set in the streets of New York City, and comes face to face with the creators of the Quest Board, the fabled Questing Guild. Thanks, and I hope you'll check out the series.
Hi everyone, my name is Hugh Westenra, and I am a trans Canadian author of the queer political epic fantasy The Wings of Astaroth, which is available widely, so that is, it's available outside of Amazon. It's also a Spiffbo entry, that is a self-published fantasy blog off entry for this year. I'd be really excited if you checked it out. So it's drawing on, a lot of the inspiration from the book is coming from a teenage fascination with demons and demonology, which blossomed in my adulthood into an academic interest in the same. So my academic area of expertise is kind of on monsters and marginalization, teach courses like the history of Satan, that kind of thing. So I'm drawing on my academic background for this. I also did a lot of research for this book into the classical Mediterranean world, particularly ancient Carthage in North Africa and Rome. And although the book is set in a secondary world, it very much kind of feels, or I hope it feels, kind of grounded in a sense of historicity and realism because of that inspiration. So if you like kind of historically, a historical feel from your fantasies, you might really like this book. You might also really enjoy it if you like big, chunky fantasy novels that don't get published anymore. I am sorry for the length, but also, you know, maybe that's a selling point. So the book has kind of about a darkness level of A Song of Ice and Fire, and similarly it also is kind of a low magic setting in which sort of belief in magic is ubiquitous across the world, but there's not really much sort of out-and-out evidence of that. And when it does kind of intrude into the environment, it's quite shocking for the characters, or they might even disbelieve it. So the book focuses on, it's a multi-POV book. It opens with the high priest of the city of Kemasin deciding that the best way to avert a drought is to sacrifice a child alive. And the rest of the book is kind of fallout from that choice of his. So I'm interested in sort of why otherwise good people might make bad decisions, and how that might impact others, how worldview impacts character, and all of that kind of thing. It's full of twisty-turny plots and characters backstabbing each other and all of that kind of thing. It's also queer, but I will warn that bad stuff does happen to queer characters in the book, so if that's not your jam, you may want to give it a pass. Thanks so much, really appreciate it, and hope you check out my book. Bye!
Hello, E.M. Allen here, and it's good to be back on Dom's channel for another indie author showcase. This time I'm talking about my new book, The Nephilim Strain. It's the second book in the Agents of Nightwatch series, which started with last year's The Hellfire Brats. So on that side. Like its predecessor, it's an action-packed, pulp-inspired urban fantasy with a side of horror this time around. Picking up less than a month after the first book, Oliver Turner has only recently discovered that he is a Nephilim, a being born of two worlds. Together with his partner Dodger and his friend Rachel, Oliver begins to piece together the truth of his heritage and the future that his mother had planned out for him. But things take a turn when two other Nephilim arrive in town and warn Oliver that there's a vampire hunting them down. Who is the vampire? Why is he hunting the Nephilim? And what connection does he have to Oliver's friends and family? You'll have to read to find out. This book showcases more of my vision for the series going forward, with a greater emphasis on character pathos, relationships, and intrigue. We get a lot more backstory for the supporting characters, and the stakes hit a little closer to home than before. Everyone has something to gain and everything to lose this time around, and that's going to make the action hit a lot harder. I'm telling you, there is no better time to jump into this series than right now, because it's just getting started and I'm in it for the long haul.
Thank you so much to all of the authors who've taken the time out of their busy schedules to film a clip for inclusion in this video, and for stepping outside their comfort zone, no doubt, in order to do so. If you want to join this series and appear in a future one of these videos, do check out the showcase page on my website, dominishbooks.com. I'll leave a link down below as well, and you'll find all the information there to get a clip over to me. Also below this video, as usual, you'll find links to all of the authors who you've seen in today's showcase. Do go and check them out in more detail. For today, that's everything, so thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you in the next video sometime soon. Until then, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.